Hello, and welcome back to the Resting Stitch Base podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Sarah Harding, along with my favorite co host.
Dr. Erin Sheffield.
Hello.
Welcome back. Hello.
Feels like it's been a while.
I know, it really does. I feel like so much has happened or not happened since our
I know.
last episode. Not sure if it's a lot or just been like boringly mundane. I'm not sure. But yes, it's good to see your pretty face.
It's good to see your beautiful face as well.
So I think a lot of women are quietly functioning while overwhelmed. They're successful, they're capable, they're holding everything together for everyone else. And yet, underneath all of that, a lot of them feel lonely, exhausted, disconnected from themselves, and honestly, maybe a little lost. And I think somewhere along the way, many women learned that being good meant being accommodating, easygoing, selfless, useful, pleasant. But eventually, you wake up and you realize you spent so much time taking care of everyone else that you don't even know what you need anymore. So today, we wanted to talk about people-pleasing, self-abandonment, loneliness, and why women need other women more than we probably admit.
Yes, this is a very timely discussion, isn't it?
I know, I feel like coming off Mother's Day, there's so much emotion on
Yeah.
Mother's Day.
Yes.
So much
Yeah.
I think it's hard as a woman to be like, "Yay, Mother's Day fully," because
Mhm.
maybe your mom wasn't the mom you needed or wanted her to be, or maybe you don't feel like you are the mom you need or want to be for your kids, or maybe you lost your mom. I mean, there's so many different things, and I
There's
think
so many different things, right?
even trying to be celebrated, it, brings this
Yeah.
double-edged guilt sword or
Right.
something with it.
Yeah.
It's
It's
hard to
very
just
strange,
enjoy
right?
it.
It is funny, and I do feel like every year I have at least a couple people the next day that are like, "How was your" like, women who have children and about the same age as mine, "How was your Mother's Day?" And I'm like, "It was actually just kind of like a regular
How is
day,"
it supposed to be?
as it turns out, like, I did get flowers and a balloon, and Rivers said that anything that I wanted is what goes, but that isn't actually how it goes.
Definitely,
So, but then, like,
definitely.
it's just in passing, so you can't be like, "Well, it was,
Do you
like,
want
"Oh,
the
it was
trauma dump
great."
now?
Yeah, "It was great. Yeah, it's really nice." So,
Man,
yes,
yes. So
all the
why do you
feels.
think so many women feel exhausted, even when, on the outside, it looks like they're doing fine? But don't you just have this idea of this, frazzled, tired mom? Isn't that just the
Yeah, the
stereotype?
fireworks spaghetti, right? Yeah, and then don't you get frustrated when somebody's like, "Oh, but you seem like you have it all together." I'm like, "How?" Like, that's not how it feels on the inside. I don't know how you see that on the outside. That's very strange, you know? But I think it's interesting because this is something that I think you, in particular, have been really seeking the answer to this question for a year. I mean, ever since we started this
Yeah.
podcast, this is one of the very first things that we talked about, and it comes up regularly in very different facets of conversation.
Mhm.
So when we're talking about grief, when we're talking about work, when we're talking about kids, um, all of the things, I feel like this is a question that you continuously ask, which means that you're still seeking the answer, right? And that you still haven't been satisfied with any
All
of
the
the answers that
therapy
you've
is not
gotten.
getting me there. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's like, so where do we go from here? We can't just keep asking the same question and expect that it's going to change, right? And so I don't know. I feel like there's so much pressure put on us, and we lack the community that we've been promised or that we've been fed or something like that. And I think that that's the biggest feeling of exhaustion, is that nobody understands what I'm going through. And there's nobody else here to help me talk through it, to help me to witness all of it with me, to find humor in it. It's just like the day to day, you're just doing it, and it's exhausting,
Amen. Okay,
right?
podcast over. You said it.
Peace. I would drop my mic, but I only have one.
Right, and it kind of costs a lot. Well, I think too, I think as women, we've been conditioned to put everyone else first. And It's this, I don't know, this vibe of self-sacrifice at all costs, like,
Mhm.
well, I'm tired, but the kids need to be fed and the kids need to be put in bed. And to some point, yes, that's true, but maybe we need help sometimes. Maybe we need to ask for help. But I think also there's that mom guilt sometimes of I'm the one that's supposed to do it. Do
Yeah.
you feel that way?
Yeah. Well, and it does bring my soul satisfaction to be the one doing it, if that was all that I was doing, I guess. And I think that's the thing, like last night, Spot was out of town and it's all me doing all the things, right? And in that moment, wouldn't it be nice to have somebody else around? I didn't, and I don't,
See,
and
this is where you're better than me. If I could have a babysitter every night at bedtime, hallelujah!
I know, I get
That
that.
is, like, the hardest time of day. Even as my kids get
I
older and they're
know.
getting a lot more self-sufficient, that's when
Yeah.
we're getting the, "I'm tired," and we're always, like, fighting now, and "Greta did
Mhm.
this, and Hugh did this, and Harriet," and we're just like, "Oh my gosh, can we
Yes.
just put our
What was once
tired
the Zoomies has now turned
brains."
into argument central. Yeah,
Yes. So, it's tricky, but it is also, like, such a sweet time sometimes when we're not fighting and arguing.
I
But
know.
that's just, like, the worst. You've had, like, a long day yourself, and then it's like, "Can you put me to bed instead?" Like, I just need someone to put me to bed, but I gotta, like, muster up the courage, go through the whole routine, and to face
Yeah.
the emotions and every cup of water that gets asked for, all the delays.
Yes.
Sometimes it's just, like, all I can muster to make it through that time, and I feel like that's just, like, a really good example of the plight of the stressed, overworked, tired mom. No
Yeah.
matter how tired you are, you've gotta show up. You just
Yeah.
got to. The kids are relying on you, and it
Right.
feels like sometimes the world is relying on you.
Yes. And something that I've been struggling with lately is that I remember a couple of years ago, I mean, truly, so I was probably 40 or almost 40. I remember my dad saying something about, you know, he was kind of going along the lines of how ungrateful we are or something, right? And he was like,
You
and
specifically as his children or just us as the
yes,
world?
yeah, as his
Oh,
children.
yeah.
And he was
Okay.
saying something about how how got us to the bus stop and packed us lunches and all of these things. And I'm like, looking at him like, well, yeah, that's like what you sign up for when you have kids. Like that's part of it, right? You kind of have to follow through with all the
It's
stuff.
kind of
And
the
so then
job, a
I
big
found
part of it.
myself lately like getting frustrated with, my kids. And because I'm not able to take care of myself some days because I'm so busy taking care of them. And I find myself having those same thoughts, but then being like, whoa, Sarah, put it on, remember what your dad said and how that made you feel. Don't
Mhm.
repeat that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, but sometimes I just want to be like, I just want somebody to take care of me.
I know, I
And
just want
so,
someone to put me to bed.
yeah.
I think too, we talk so much about burnout in medicine. It's such a
Hmm.
huge problem. And when you are facing burnout, it's really hard to do as good a job at work. And I find I can tell I'm burnout when like my compassion's going out the window. Like instead of the patient when they're kind of squirmy or like whimpering a little during a sedation. Instead of, oh, sweetie, it's okay. It's just a little pressure. You're doing fine, almost done. I feel like, sit down and shut up. Like,
Yeah.
stop. It's
Yes.
so annoying. You're
Yeah.
fine. I don't talk to patients that way, by the way.
No.
It's just how my head
Yes.
talks
It's my
sometimes.
internal thoughts. Yes.
But I don't feel like we ever really talk about being burnout as mothers. Should
Right.
we be talking about that more?
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
know.
we
It's
can't because then
interesting.
that would indicate that we're unable to take care of our children. And then what?
Yeah,
Then,
I mean, that's part of it is like
yeah.
vocalizing those feelings out loud sometimes comes with shame or
Hmm.
judgment, or maybe not from other people, but from ourselves.
Right.
It's
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
same battle I have. I don't think I'm very particularly prone to mom guilt, like, hallelujah, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm not really super prone to that, but the one place
Same.
that bothers me, and I think we've talked about this before, is just being a twin mom in the trenches, having
Hmm.
2 babies at once while I was working. It was such a challenge, it was so much work, it was really survival
Yeah.
for real. And so I genuinely have worried over the years, did I bond with my children the way that I'm supposed to as a mom? Do I have that relationship with them like you're supposed to? That just, I
Right.
just love your baby so much more. I don't feel like my babies I did feel like I was the number one person for them. I didn't feel like maybe we had that relationship like because we couldn't. It just always I just had to have help, and
Right.
so
Yeah.
but they also, like, got these relationships with other people, with their grandparents and
Mhm.
with their nanny and people like that, and I think they're exceptionally wonderful at interacting with grown-ups and strangers and teachers and people at church and creating these relationships, and I think, well, maybe I sacrificed a little bit of that really intense mom bonding with their ability to connect with other people. Maybe that's not a bad thing, but it's not the
Right.
expectation that I had as a mom. I still feel bad about it. And I
Oh,
think it's really easy to
interesting. Yeah.
take those on more than we have to, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So do you think it's simply a mismatch in expectation and actual it's not necessarily a guilt feeling, but it's everyone's told you that you're supposed to have this immediate undying love and this deep
Yeah.
connection and you didn't have that and so you're anticipating having that and then you don't. And so it's not necessarily that you have guilt or anything about it. It's just that the expectation was different than what actually happened.
Yeah, like, I wonder if that's right because I think they're happy and I'm happy, and I feel like
Right.
we're well bonded, and again, they're
Yeah.
doing great socially. I feel like maybe better than other people I see their age and from a very early age,
Yeah.
so maybe there's some advantages there. Maybe it was more that way when you had that village mentality of raising people. You had more people to rely on. You probably lived in the same house with multiple generations, and grandma could take baby when you're about to lose it.
Mhm.
And then they have that amazing relationship with grandma also, which that's a benefit, but that's really easy to put those things on ourselves and I think take on things that we don't need to. So what do you think about people pleasing? Do you think that plays part of this whole conversation?
Yes. And I am so guilty, and I'm becoming more and more aware of the little things that I do that are people pleasing. And I listened to something lately where it said people pleasing isn't actually for other people, it's actually selfish for you to
Oh my
do
gosh,
that. And I was like, "Yes, that
that's
does
so
make sense."
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, explain that more. So tell us why that would be for other
So
people
it
or not for
sounded
other people.
like, in a way, when you are self sacrificing by people pleasing, sometimes other people, let's give an example. Somebody wants to do a favor for you, but you, independent Erin, say, "No, no, I've got it. I've got it. It's fine." Because you don't want to put them out, because them
Mhm.
doing that thing for you would be something else on their plate. And
Right.
you, the people pleasing independent Erin, don't want to put something on somebody else's plate. Instead, you just take care of it yourself.
Mhm.
And in that moment, you've taken away their ability to do something kind for you, which would help both of you, right? Because when we do nice things for
Right.
others, it fills our cup, but also it takes the load off of you, which is great. And so when you're like, no, 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 I've got it, then it takes that away and it gives you that I can take care of everything. See,
Mhm.
I can
Yeah.
handle all of it. But I'm trying to apply that to different things that I see myself doing in people pleasing fashion. So today, for example, or this week, I've been trying to meet up with this dentist and I'm interacting with his office manager. And I said, I have Tuesday mornings over the next couple of weeks free. And she texts me back and she says, great. I've linked in this other person. How about Thursday morning at 7:30? And I'm of course thinking mornings, meaning sometime between 9 and noon, you know? And I'm like, "What?" Because it's kind of far away, right? It's a good
Mhm.
30, 45-minute drive. And I'm like, I said Tuesday mornings, and so I said, well, I guess I could probably make Thursday work. Let me see if I could how could I manipulate my sketch? Did it? And I said, "No, I already said Tuesdays." And so I wrote her back. I said, "I'm not available on Thursday. Um, but I can be available on Friday or Monday at certain times." Great. He's available Friday at 7:30. And I'm like, "Duh." But then I also don't want to put it out there that, well, I've got drop off and I've got, this and that, and I've got other things I've got to attend to in the mornings because I also don't want to seem, because I feel like I've missed other opportunities because of that. And so I don't want that to
Yeah.
be like when you go into a job interview and you say, "Well, I have kids and that dictates my schedule. Good luck getting
Yeah.
the job." And so I think
Yeah,
that, like,
exactly.
when and I'm sitting here debating it in my own head because I know that what I'm doing is people pleasing. I'm sure that he has other times available during the day,
Yeah.
for
But
sure.
you don't want the anxiety of disappointing him. Do you think that's a lot of
Right.
times what it is?
Or
I
I've
mean, I
already
had the
said
same
no once,
thing.
I can't say no twice.
I was talking to someone negotiating something with them, and they're asking, like, "So, are you gonna pay for this and for this if I do this thing?" And I thought, "Well, I was hoping to only pay for this, not this and that." And then I was like, "Maybe I have to say yes." Like, I don't know if it's in my budget, but they asked, and they're gonna be upset if I say something and question back, and
Right.
I don't know. And then finally I just said, "Oh, well, I was hoping for just this." And they're like, "Okay, great." But I, like, almost gave away, like, 1,000 extra dollars just
Yeah.
because I didn't wanna deal with the discomfort of them maybe saying no or asking a follow-up question. It was, like, my own anxiety. Or I was
Yeah.
even thinking we were looking at financial planners and at one point talking about maybe jumping on to a different organization or whatever, and we're like, "But we've been with our guy for a long time, and he's a really nice guy, and think how disappointed he'll be if we don't
And
stick
there's
with
nothing wrong with
him."
loyalty,
Right.
right?
So, like, oh, it's gonna be really hard, like, I don't know, and so then we just didn't make a decision and stayed with the same person, and, like, 3 years later, we're back having the same conversation with the
Mhm.
financial planners from before that were like, "We really like you, and I do think you would have helped us, like, save probably tens of thousands of dollars on our taxes and help us with these other strategies, etcetera, but, like, oh, but we're still uncomfortable telling the guy." And I thought, "This is so stupid that we're making life financial decisions that affect our lives, like, monetarily, like,
Right.
come to our
Yeah.
bottom line because we, like, don't wanna hurt this guy's feelings that hasn't called me in a year," you know? It's
Right.
just funny the
Yes. Your
loyalty that
loyalty
we
to him
give
is
to
not equal
people.
to his loyalty to
And
you.
sometimes I found so many times I've been loyal to people and I'm doing things for people and I'm so worried about what they're going to think, and then they don't even care. And nothing
Mhm.
demonstrates that more to me than when you're looking for a job. Like, you
Mhm.
go to all these interviews, and when you're a doctor, the nice thing about the interviews there is a lot of times they're just trying to find a body that, seems to fit, they're not, like,
A
grilling you
jive,
on your
right.
credentials and who
Yeah.
you are, they want to find someone great and who fits, and I feel like we're nice, and so most of the time people are gonna think that about us, and so I remember being in the past so worried about these people. They, like, really wanted us to come, and they're just gonna be so sad that we won't move to Las Cruces, New Mexico. What will they do? And maybe we have to move to Las Cruces, Mexico,
Right.
just because New Mexicos are so disappointed. And then you finally tell them, like, "Well, gosh, we're so sorry, but it just really feels like this is a better choice for our family. We gotta do it for our family and do what feels right." And they're like, "Okay, thanks for letting us know. We found someone else yesterday." Like, they just don't care on the same
It's so
level.
bizarre, right? It's
And
so
yet
bizarre. You're like, the inner turmoil that I suffered making this decision and how
I
to convey it to
know.
you, and you're fine? Okay.
The loyalty that I give them, or I think even in residency, I just felt like I wanted to please my attending so bad, and I even wanted my life plan to be appropriate for them. Like, "Oh, I hope I'm gonna choose the right kind of job or work as many hours or take enough call, all these things that I deserve to be in our profession." And that was, like, such a thing for me. And then they offer me jobs 2 or 3 times, and then every time "Yes, I'm gonna take the job, I need it," they would, like, pull the rug out from under me, like, "Oh, it's not gonna work out after all." And,
Mhm.
like, did they care? They didn't care. They didn't
Mm-mm.
care that I had no job that they promised me
No.
and left me in the lurch. Like, they didn't care. If it came down to
No.
what was convenient and better for them, they chose that.
Right.
They didn't care.
Right. On the
But
contrary, when I was a 3rd year in my residency and I got sat down by one of my attendings with a whole bunch of others in the room and said, "I've heard you want to be a wife and a mother, and if that's the case, you should cut your losses and cut the Navy's losses and leave now." So after that conversation, I was like, "I'm gonna burn
that's
this
so
badass
weird.
down. I'm gonna do whatever I wanna do. You're right, I'm gonna be a wife and a mother. Watch me. See what I do."
Just watch you. I love that. I wish I had a more revengeful
You don't
spirit. It would have
it's
powered
not
me
good.
through so many more of these experiences. I know. Also, how silly that they really want you to leave. They should have wanted you to power through to at least, like, make it through residency. Because if you're down a
Right.
resident, that's terrible.
Right. What was the benefit of that conversation? Now looking back on it, you're like,
It's so
what good did that do?
weird.
You just really wanted to have your little power trip moment over me that day,
Yeah.
and
But I
now I
think
hope that you're turning in your grave. Like, that didn't do anything good for anybody.
do you think to be a doctor or maybe especially a surgeon, you are primed and trained to be a people person?
I think we are that way because we are women. I don't necessarily think there's plenty of my male counterparts that are that way as well, but to a much lesser degree, and they're
Mhm.
much more willing to put that aside if it means like, they're not going to struggle with that,
Yeah.
if that
Oh,
makes
yeah.
sense, you know? That's their go-to, but if it's not working for them, they drop it off at the
No,
corner.
I agree. I've seen that. I think especially in our profession where there's this pull to be full scope or to be in private practice and just doing the things that make the most money and take the less of your life away from you. And I feel like there's these two poles. And on one side, I see a lot of the men in private practice that would be like, heck no, I'm not doing orthognathics. Why would I spend my time in the OR when I can make this much in my office? Like, it's not worth my
Mhm.
time. That's so stupid. And they're like, just like, "Ugh,
Yeah.
unbelievable. You could even ask me to do that."
Right?
And I feel like all, like me and all my female friends, if we're not
Yeah.
doing TMJ replacements and fibula free flaps, we're all like, oh, I mean, I want to, but
Mhm.
it's really hard. I mean, it's really hard, and no one's asked me for a while, and so maybe I shouldn't be doing that. But we all have this like guilt. And again, I think
Mhm.
it's funny that there's this looming unseen specter of the specialty or the community, and I don't know what to call it, the patriarchy or the
Mhm.
society that's like, you need to do more. And maybe that's because we had to prove ourselves as women, like, you have to be all in or we won't take you. Maybe you want to be a mom. So if you do, we can't take you. You have to promise you're going to work a million
Yeah.
hours. And like, I don't know that the men get that kind of
Right.
pressure or get grilled about those kind of things like we do. And that's why I was saying I kind of think sometimes maybe just as women, by the time we
Mhm.
get as far as we do in training, you become like the ultimate people pleaser because
Yes.
it's like
I
it's
can see
your
that.
best friend's baby shower. We're sorry, you're working.
Right.
It's your grandma's funeral. I'm sorry, but you're working. It's
Yeah.
Christmas and you wanted to be there for your kids. I'm sorry, but we're going to the OR. Like, you just don't have any of that
Yeah.
autonomy to make those decisions.
Right.
And I think you have to, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir,
Mhm.
to like jump through the hoops and get where you're going. That by the
Yeah.
time you're on your own, it's really hard to decide, what do I want and where am I going?
Yes. And I think the interesting thing is that whole system very much serves men and how their drive at that state of life exists, and it is to the detriment of women at that state of their life and how we exist within the world because we are, for the most part, very much into community building and relationship building and investing in our relationships. And men have the drive to work hard, to provide for their family, to do those things, to set themselves up for greater success, to network in a professional setting, and so it's very much geared towards that, whereas it deteriorates our ability to build and maintain and nurture strong relationships when we're in our 20s and early 30s, which is a prime time to be doing those things. And I think that's where it really hurts, right? And
Yeah.
so we give that piece of us up because we have to. There's no choice, or at least I wasn't given the choice. And so, I think that's the real piece of the puzzle is that it's way deeper than just our experience. I think that it is, just not built for us and how we're made to live in this life.
Yeah. How do you think people pleasing hurts us?
Burnout in the end, ultimately, right?
Yeah.
I think because we're giving so much of ourselves away that we, one, maybe don't recognize ourselves, and two, don't know how to self care a self that we don't know,
I love that.
right?
How do we self-care a self we don't know? Yeah, I love that.
And then how can you expect anybody else to care for you either if they, you know? So
Yeah, I
it's
think you
very
lose a
interesting.
part of yourself. You don't really know who you are or what your values are when you're just tossed in the wind, kind of going by what everyone else wants.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was talking to my sister today, Amber, and she was saying Someone she follows online is talking about how people pleasing is self-abandonment, and I thought, "Oh, that's such an interesting term." Makes it sound really bad.
Mhm.
Self-abandonment, but yeah, when you're just always putting yourself last to please others, and again, I think it's self-serving in a way. It's serving
Mhm.
our own anxiety or whatever it is. There's
Right.
a reason that we do it, but it's not, again, usually because we're so altruistic and kind and lovely, and we're
Right.
just doing it for the good of humanity. It's because we
Yeah.
don't wanna face these negative feelings, disappointment, whatever, and sometimes you do get backlash. Sometimes people don't like when you stick up for yourself, when you set boundaries. Have you ever
Mhm.
had a boundary and had pushback?
Yes, and especially when you've been giving in and not respecting your own boundaries, and then all of a sudden you set your boundary and you stick to it, and people are turned off by it, and they almost I mean, there's almost more of a vicious backlash in that
Yeah, the
way,
"you've
right?
changed" thing is a lot of it. "You've
Right, how dare
changed.
you say that you can't do that? You're my fall person, you're the one that
You
I
won't let
always
me
send my crap to.
push you around anymore."
Right, it's interesting. But I'll tell you, remember we talked about when I was in dental school and I had that, what I've now am realizing was an anxiety attack, and then I had them multiple times. That was where I told you I set my boundary was if it's gonna push me through into that space, nope. The answer is no. And so I've recognized that about myself, and that really has served me well, but it's been really interesting to see how that has been taken by colleagues since finishing residency even. "Well, what do you
Mhm.
mean you're not gonna just give up your whole life to go and do this?" Well,
Yeah.
it's not worth that to me, sorry.
Well, and I think a lot of times the people that suffer when we people please are the people that are closest to us and that it
Mhm,
matters the most. For example, we decided to go back to Utah for Thanksgiving last year, and we kind of decided last minute. And I have a really hard time choosing to take time off from my clinic. I know it sounds like I don't. I travel a lot, but it's hard for me to make the decision, especially if I already have patients scheduled. I hate
right.
rescheduling.
Yes.
Especially right now, I'm booked out so far. I'm, like, booking through September. Here it is, May, and so if I have to
I have my
change
Illinois
someone.
license.
I know! If only we had a locums person that could come and
Right.
take the load, if anyone at corporate is listening. So it's really hard, and so, especially around Thanksgiving, some people are trying to get in. They've been booked for a little while, etcetera, so it might be disappointing to get rebooked from your holiday third molar removal. And so but I was like, "Oh, okay, I'm gonna do it. This is more important. We should do this. We should make it happen. I haven't seen my family for a while." So we rescheduled, and I got 2 families that were very angry. One called and left a message after chewing out my nurse that she wanted Dr. Sheffield to call her back so she could basically tell her a thing or two, which I thought was funny. Why do I wanna call you back to hear that?
I love when people get mad at me and yell at me,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna give you a call
So
back so I
I
can.
finally I did call her, and she was just chewing me out and telling me how unprofessional it was that they made this appointment 2 months ago and I'm moving it. How dare I move it? And her daughter's in college and has got all these things going on. And so, it's so hard. And she doesn't know if she trusts me to even reschedule. And I'm like, well, I don't know if I trust you the way you were abusing my staff on the phone. But sometimes it feels easier to not get those rude calls or those judgments,
Mhm.
etcetera, but who really cares more? Like, is that girl really in the long run gonna be really upset that she didn't have her wisdom teeth taken out on November 23rd, 2025 or whatever it
Right.
was? Like, no, she's not gonna care or remember. It's my mom and my sister and my brother and my other sister and my other sister and our cousin, are they gonna care? Are my kids gonna care that we took them to grandma's and that we got the time off to spend as a family? Like, they are going to care.
Yeah.
They're going to remember.
Right.
They're not the ones that are really gonna complain. They're not gonna be the ones that are gonna be bugging me in my ear
Mhm.
and calling me unprofessional and getting mad and reporting me to patient services and things like that. And so it's so easy, I think, sometimes to, the squeaky wheel
Right.
gets the
It's
gets the
true.
grease. It's
Mhm.
easy to kind of put them off. We're so used to that we put off ourselves or we put off our families because they'll give us the benefit of the doubt. And I
Mhm.
remember when I was in dental school dating my husband, Abe, I remember hanging out on a Friday night and he had this party to go to that he was like, "Oh, I gotta leave." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "I've got this party I have to go to. I don't even want to go, but they invited me, so I better go." And I was like, Who cares? Just stay here. We're hanging out. I want you to stay here. I don't have
Yeah.
anything going on. I'm bored without you. No, I better go. They'll feel really bad if I don't go. And I was kind of mad when he chose to leave. He's a people pleaser.
Right.
I'm outing him. Sorry, honey. I know you're listening. But he decided to leave, and then I kinda got the report that I was like, "Yeah, it wasn't very fun, and no, it doesn't seem like it mattered that much that I was there," and I was like, I was the person
Mhm.
I was really probably the only person in that moment that, like, really, really cared where you were at that
Yeah.
moment, and all of those people, they were probably like, "Yay, Abe's here, that's so nice," and then that was probably kind of like the end of it,
Yeah.
but it's so easy for us to make those decisions because,
Mhm.
again, that's where you get the pushback, not from the people that are just patiently
Right.
waiting, but
That's
really
fair.
care.
Yeah, that's fair.
Big sigh.
Well, what do we do, right? Because at the end of the day, now we are where we are, and we're still usually the only woman in the room, right? And so even when I am going and meeting with a dentist, there's plenty of female dentists these days, right? And I love them, and there are a bunch of them in San Diego, and it's great. But I'm going to meet with a male dentist, and that sole fact is probably the reason why I can't say, well, I can't come that early, or it's really hard for me to come that early because I've got kids. Like, it's very hard for me to say it, and it's because it's a man,
Oh, yeah.
and I don't know why I have that hang up. What about you?
I think it is different. I think it is different for men and women, at least in medicine and in that space or maybe some other fields. Like they just don't it's not the same vibe. They don't get it. They're not carrying the same things that we are.
But oftentimes they do get it, and I think that we're not giving them enough benefit, right? Because
Yeah.
can you imagine somebody going and meeting Abe and being like, "Oh god, I can't bear to tell him that I need to come a little bit later than that because I've gotta do drop off." Of course Abe would understand,
Well, and Abe is the
you
guy that
know?
does drop off much of the time. So yes.
Yeah.
Well, and that's interesting too. I think it's interesting. I think we give, like you're saying, let males off the hook a lot more. We just act like they're not capable. They couldn't possibly. And yet they're like a corporate guy
Yeah.
managing this high level $1 million, $1 billion, whatever company. And yet he couldn't possibly figure out how to plan a child's birthday party, for example. Like I was so grateful when we went to Mexico. That was probably the worst possible week in a lot of ways for me to go. There were so many things going on at home with the kids. There were choir concerts and band and orchestra concerts, and it was Harriet's birthday the
Right.
day I got back, so she had a birthday party and, like, a sewing class and a parade, and he had to be in the parade for Harriet's school, but also the other kids for church, and so he's taking Harriet through the parade and then walking back to get on the other float with the other people. In the meantime, friends and family are coming from out of town for the birthday party, and he's making this very difficult cake, this like multi-layer marbled cake mixed
That's
in
awesome.
with ice cream and this frosting. He said it took him 3 days or something to make this cake. And then he had to plan her baptism, which was getting all set and making programs and getting the people on the program to agree and know when to show up and to get the font filled up with water and to find the jumpsuit to wear. He took care of all of that.
Right.
And most people would have been totally shocked. Like those were mom chores, right?
Mhm.
Like organizing the schedule, making the cake, planning a party, hosting the party, getting the kids to and from where they needed to go, all of that. Why does that have to be mom stuff? And it usually is, and no wonder we're burnout. But like most men, if they're capable of anything, they're capable of these little things. I don't know how we get them to step up, but maybe we just need to ask. Maybe that's part
Right.
of it. Like I really need help.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, I mean, I'm guilty of this too, because before we left for Mexico, I went to the store and I bought all of the things because we were doing snacks for River's T-ball team after his game on Saturday. And so I went to the store and I bought all of the things and I put them in a place and I said the snack things are there and the brown bags are here and the Gatorades are out in the garage. And just did all of the things because I was so scared that he was going to do it wrong, quote unquote,
Mhm.
right? But what is wrong? What do the kids really care? They don't, right? They're
Right.
just happy to have anything. You know what I mean? So I don't know, but so I'm guilty of it too.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about that in a previous episode where how much of it is weaponized
Mhm.
incompetence or just not seeing things that need to get done versus us not willing to take the help because we are control freaks and it needs to be done our way.
Yes. Who, me?
I mean, definitely, I think most stories go both ways. And, there are things that we need to be doing better and things that we can get better help from as well. So, one thing I thought was really interesting, because you asked, like, what's the solution to some of this? My sister sent me this study. Yeah, let's find where she says research conducted by Talker Research. I don't know what that is. So, if they're not reputable, fine. But I like the point behind it either way. Reveals that women feel most energized and emotionally fulfilled when they spend intentional time with close female friends. A survey of 2,000 women found that a girls' night, approximately every 22 days, plays a key role in helping women feel connected, supported, and alive. Participants reported reduced stress, improved mood, and a stronger sense of identity following these social gatherings. The findings highlight that friendship functions not merely as leisure, but as an essential form of emotional maintenance. I thought that was so interesting, especially that they put like a timeline on it. Like you can go 3 weeks and but 3 weeks in one day, you better
Right.
get together with your gals. Do you find that's true?
I do, because I know that when I go, and it's usually longer than that though. So, I don't know, but I get little touch points, I guess, at, drop off and pick up and, little things like that. But um, I definitely feel much better after I've had girl time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, me
And
too.
so, because I find that if I go for longer periods of time between that, close off a little bit. I become more introverted, and I don't think that that's really very healthy.
Yeah.
And often I feel like when I work, that's kind of fulfills that bucket a little bit because I get a little bit of that, even if it's not necessarily like my gal pals, it's my
Yeah.
gal colleagues.
Right.
There's something about it I think that really helps.
Yeah, I think so too. Well, and I saw some video or something meme, I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was saying, like, "Man, if you want your wife to stay happy, send her out with her friends." It's not just optional. You
Mhm.
have to send her if you don't want, like, the witch to come home. That's not how they said it, by the way. It didn't sound like that inflammatory, but that's kinda how I took it, like, "If you don't want the wicked witch of the west to come out, you better send her out with her friends." And that was interesting
Yeah.
because, like, our friends at church will do this book club. I'm not a big reader these days. I just don't have the attention span. I've got all these other things I wanna do, and if I sit down I'm a fast reader, so I can read 150 pages in a setting, but I will never come back to the book.
It better be 150 pages or less.
Right, it needs to be a short book if anyone can send me
Yeah.
recommendations. But they'll do these book clubs, and I go to most of them, and Abe the other day was like, "What book is it?" And I'm like, "I don't know, I don't care, I'm just going." But to me,
That's
it's
so
just about
funny.
that opportunity to
Yeah.
have that social time, and sometimes it feels selfish because
Yeah.
it's bedtime and it's
Right.
dinner time, and
Mhm.
I'm leaving him to all the chaos, but it is so valuable, and I
Right.
appreciate that he understands that and lets me take that time because it really is
Yeah.
rejuvenating.
Yeah. And I think it's the other thing that's interesting is, for my husband, for example, would love if we went on dates, and I'm just like, "Why? I see you every day." Or not really every day, obviously, but, you know what I mean? And so but then it's like I am so excited to go and do dinner at the place with my girlfriends, and I think it's taken a little while to understand that that is important, even though that means that it's not that I don't want to go to dinner with him and that I wanna go to dinner with him, it's just that I need to go to dinner with them, and I have dinner
Yeah,
with you really often, you know what I mean? And so,
right.
I think that's been an interesting shift, an interesting reframe. So,
Well, take Spot to dinner. He'd really like it though too.
I did for his birthday. Go me. Yay.
When was his birthday? Was that a long time ago?
Oh, it was last month.
Okay, well,
See, I'm
something.
doing good.
Little steps.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's so important for us to gather as women. I don't really understand why it matters so much, but I think women supporting women is so key.
Mhm.
I see a lot of competition with women as well. And when I think we can get over that, I think that's really when we unlock the power of humanity, women
Yeah,
supporting women. I think there's,
right.
like, nothing better. I find I get these little things in my brain. I remember thinking once about a friend. She just really wants me to tell her how cool she is, doesn't she? She just really thinks she's something and then I should tell her. And then I remember thinking, well, if I'm her friend, this
Right.
is like one of my best friends. If I'm her friend, then why wouldn't I want to give her exactly what I think she needs from me? And that was like this total like explosion, brain explosion moment. And I was like, okay, so I made a goal from then and there. Anytime I have one of those snotty little voices about what she thinks she's something, that's when I always, whatever it is I'm thinking, I will say it. If I think she needs something, I'm gonna give it to her.
Mhm.
Or oh, she thinks she's so pretty. That am I the only one that I mean, I feel like I've changed my
No.
brain. I don't really have that thought process much anymore. But, anytime I have
Yeah,
that like envy, jealousy, eh,
yeah,
competition vibe, whatever it is that I don't want to admit that's so wonderful about them that makes me feel small, I have to say it.
right.
And it like melts away those
It
feelings. So
does.
for me, it's been really powerful. But I think we
And
need
I
to do
find
that more.
and I find that that is a lot of times, like, your own inadequacies coming out because you don't feel celebrated in that thing, so
Yes.
you're not gonna celebrate that person in that thing so that they can feel like you feel.
Right. Yeah.
And what a
We
strange
feel like
reaction, right?
somehow if they are that, then it takes away from us, and we're already feeling
Mhm.
lacking in that way. Like,
Right,
so, like, if I tell Sarah she's pretty, then she'll know she's prettier than I am, and it's like, that's not how it works. Like, it's funny that our brains do that because you being pretty, you could be the prettiest person in the entire world, and it has nothing to do with whether I'm pretty or not.
right,
But we do that. We think like if we acknowledge it, it takes away from ourselves, and it really doesn't. So I'm all
right.
about sharing love and light and just coming together with
And the
all
whole
that amazing goodness.
and the whole thing is that encouraging positive things, conversations, being encouraging builds upon itself,
Yeah,
right? And so,
exactly.
like, you feel better about yourself because when you say something nice to somebody, they smile, and that smile means a lot.
Right.
Or it gives them the confidence that they needed for that day, and then that in turn enables them to give confidence to somebody else because otherwise they'd be in their own head all day thinking, this shirt just doesn't look good. I don't feel good. I'm just kind of grumpy. I'm going to say to myself, but if you're like, hey, you look great today, they're like, huh, okay. And then they get past it, right? And then they're
Right.
able to give more of themselves to creating more positivity with the people around them. I don't know.
Yeah,
I think it's
it's
good.
expansive, and we like
Yeah.
to contract, and we feel small, so we wanna make other people feel small, and we don't want to let them
Hmm.
know that we think they're awesome, and I don't know, I think when I let people know they're awesome, I feel more awesome too, just like you said. I
Yeah.
love it. So, I think
Yeah.
it's so important that we gather and make space for that and to give ourselves permission. Like, take the time to go out with your friends
Right.
and to do those things. So, I
Right.
wanna transition with that. I'm really excited. We are getting ready to relaunch the Doctors All In 2027, announcing the dates, announcing the location.
Tell me, I'm looking now.
We are opening up registration hopefully by the time this podcast is in. So, doctorsallin.com. Please go and check it out if you're interested in coming. We have already sold out almost like more than 20 of our 30 spots. So, they're going to go fast if you're not on it. If you need a few days to decide to give yourself permission to come, decide now because you might miss your chance. But we are going back to the Miraval in Austin, February 26th through 28th. So I know Sarah's disappointed. She wanted to go to Costa Rica or somewhere like that. I don't think we're quite ready for that. I think we need to build on somewhere familiar and easy to get to until we're like really ready to expand
Okay.
and soar.
Well, I
But
trust you.
2028, maybe.
And
Costa
I'm going to
Rica.
see Lori when we're there.
Yes, exactly. So I can't wait to go see Lori. If you missed the episode, we talked to Lori about grief, and she's one of the counselors there, and it's absolutely fabulous and has so many cool classes. So that's it. I am so excited to go, and this is really your chance to come and meet with women. Get that restoration that comes only from that female energy, but not just that, but women who like actually get it. who, like, know what your life is like as a doctor, all the things you're carrying, whether you're in private practice or in academics, if you're the boss or you're the associate, all those things. I think there's just so much power in, like,
Mhm.
understanding what our life is like, and most people don't.
And right, and I think it's been really cool because it seemed to me that everybody is in a slightly different practice environment, right? And so learning how everybody is functioning in their own space and learning from those different women and different ways of practicing is really cool to me because
Yeah.
I think it gives you so much more insight into how the whole industry works, and then also so much more insight into how you can make your life better, more
Yeah, I
balanced.
love picking people's brains and just getting those insights from their experiences and the advice that they have. It's so valuable. And I don't think there's many other opportunities where you get to sit in a room of 30 women and
Right.
just have that open access to them. And everyone who's there is excited to be there. They're
Mhm.
there for the purpose of connecting and improving and growing
Mhm.
themselves. And you just don't see that very much. And
Right.
so
And
I
even
feel like it's
speaking,
so supportive.
you know me, I was terrified, but I felt so supported and I felt so joyous
Mm.
and encouraged because, like you said, everyone was there because they chose and they wanted to be there and they wanted to learn and they wanted to chat. And it was so cool, just the amount of support when I was speaking. And that was just really nice. I needed
Yeah,
that. I
it's
needed
like
that.
the ultimate safe spot. And
Mhm.
I mean, I'm the organizer, and so I get to plan everything, and so maybe that's why I like it so much, but I'm like, "It's so fun." It's like the best weekend of the year. We could do so many fun things and get to meet so many fun people, and just it's so restorative, so refreshing, and when I get back to my real life, it's like I gotta take, like, a real deep, big breath
Mhm.
and kinda start fresh, so I hope
Yes.
everyone else feels that too.
Yes. What are
So
the dates?
February 26th through 28th,
Okay.
2027. So
Okay.
again, doctorsallin.com. That's where registration is happening. Not very many spots left. We have about 90% retention rate from last year. So about 90% of people signed up to come back not knowing the
I
dates or
think it was
times.
my talk that I gave.
It was. They're like, Sarah Harding, if that's the level of
I'm in. I'm
stuff,
all
then they're
in.
coming back. Yep, and I'm already working on speakers. We already have some fun, amazing people signed up, a few more people in the works. Dr.
Yay.
Jessica Emery will be coming
Yes.
back and speaking, which
Yay.
people are really excited about. I've
Yes.
been
I put that
requesting.
on my response form. I said, we really need to have her not just there, but speaking."
Yes,
So,
I take those response forms very seriously,
thanks for that.
so she was definitely high on people's list. I can't have any conversation in the dental world without hearing about her, so
It's true.
she will be there. We got some other fun people coming in too that we're just kinda getting things settled up, but it's gonna be amazing, so hope you'll join us, and I wonder what it would be like if you thought this week, one thing you can do for yourself. One thing where you can put the people pleasing down and show up just for yourself. What would that feel like, and how powerful would that be?
Give it a try. Well,
Give it a try.
we can only know if we try, right?
Report back next week.
That's right. All right. Well, thank you again for listening to another episode of the Resting Stitch Face podcast. I am Dr. Sarah Harding, along with.
Dr. Erin Sheffield. Catch you next time.
If you like this, please follow along, like, share, all of the things. And if you want to see our incredible facial expressions, check us out on YouTube. We're there. Hey.
We're at our best on YouTube, I really
That's
think.
right. All
Thanks
right.
again. See you next time.
Bye.